What's up everyone, I'm Sebastian Quinn and a little bit more of a casual vlog today, excuse me. And I just wanted to talk about NBA 2K19 and some of the issues that I've had with the game. So I did purchase it, had it for about a week or so before trading it back into EB Games, or what's known as GameStop over in the US. And the main issue that I did have with it was microtransactions and the over-reliance on virtual currency throughout the game, because as much as it is an it is a great, I will preface this by saying it is a very good basketball game. You know, the graphics are fantastic, the commentary team, you know, everything, the movement and the impact engine in the game itself is great. The motions of the players shooting and everything works really well. The graphics themselves haven't really been updated. You know, as great as the game does look, it does feel very similar to 2K18, which is then again another rehash of 2K17. And I feel like the lack of competition with the NBA Live franchise, you know, they skipped a year at one point, and NBA Live 18 was meant to be good, but still, you know, the graphics were from the PS2 era. Live 19 was meant to be a step in the right direction. Obviously you've got James Harden, Joel Embiid and all these other players that are you know, endorsing the EA side of things, but at the same time there could be more financial aspect of it, where they're getting paid, you know, a lot of money to endorse this game. Where, you know, I can imagine Joel Embiid playing a lot of video games, but James Harden doesn't exactly strike me as a you know, a gamer. as bad as it sounds, he's got other things to worry about. But yeah, it's a very strange and interesting situation, because 2K, you know, for so long has been the best basketball game, but they've been kind of teetering on the line of, you know, we're just going to take your money and not actually improve the game, which is obviously concerning. So the thing with VC for me is that you can't really play many game modes within NBA 2K without it eventually coming back to VC, and your success is very much dependent on how much VC you have. And so, I don't know, for those who maybe haven't played or haven't followed 2K for the last few years, your VC is your virtual currency. You earn that VC by playing games and doing various objectives. You know, whether this is in My Career, with a very, you know, story-driven game where you build your own player and go from there. Even just playing normal games in, you know, Play Now mode, you do earn VC from that. But the progression, and this is more pertinent in the My Career mode, the progression is so slow and you have to play so many games that 2K has offered these microtransactions in order to speed up the process and actually enable you to grow and develop your player at a lot quicker rates. Instead of putting in all of these hours to, you know, accrue all this VC, you can pay an extra $20 on top of actually having purchased the game at full price or whatever price it was. You know, on top of that base level price, you're additionally paying, you know, another $20, $30 so that you can actually be, you know, good at the game. Because, you know, nothing's more frustrating than having a player, you know, who's like a 65 overall and can't hit a, you know, mid-range jump shot, excuse me, or a free throw. So, you know, the encouragement is certainly there, but the thing is, 2K are going to continue leaning on this business model as long as people keep, you know, purchasing VC. If they keep purchasing VC to improve their player, then 2K is going to be like, well, you guys, you know, even though this might not be the best business practice, if you guys are still paying for it, then obviously you want it. And I feel like this year might be the last year that it is somewhat acceptable. If 2K keep this up next year for 2K20, which, I mean, I'm assuming is going to be a huge game, and they should bring forward some, you know, like 2K is at the point where they need to be revolutionary. Like the next game that comes out needs to be like, oh man, like they can't be like, oh yeah, we've got the best commentary team, we've got all the rights to the teams, you know, and all this other stuff. You know, they can't be complacent with 2K20 because, you know, it's 2K20. So, you know, the fact that, you know, they're at this point where they're just getting away with it, because next year people are like, we want to enjoy a game with having to A, pay extra money, or B, plug in a whole lot of hours to get anywhere decently good. Like the story in My Career, I will say, you know, is somewhat interesting. You know, except the whole, you know, what's your name? AI! Like, it's just, I don't know, incredibly cringy for me as a storyteller, I suppose. But, you know, having that story there it's great. You know, you'd had the Spike Lee stuff a few years ago, and the My Career aspect of it is really fantastic, and I really enjoy it. But, you know, you know, me personally, I'm a recent college graduate who works part-time, but does live at home and has that disposable income to purchase these games, and I do have the time to actually put in and play these games. And basketball is meant to be enjoyed. I shouldn't have to feel like it's a grind. At the end of the day, my objective should be to go in and have fun playing a game of basketball, whether it's in my career or play now, or whatever it might be, as opposed to trying to build up this virtual currency in order for my player to get better. The other thing is, every other mode, I feel like my GM is the only mode that you can really play without actually getting caught up in this whole VC nonsense. Because in my career as well, you've got the pickup games, the 4-point shootouts, all these other modes which I won't get into. That in order for you to do well in those, you need to have a good 3-point rating, you need to be a good dribbler, you need to be all these things that make a good basketball player complete. And in order for you to continue earning VC, you need to earn VC to start with. So from the 2K perspective, they're in a very good place, because it's this money-making machine where it's kind of like, to get a job you need work experience, but to get work experience you need a job. So for 2K, they're going to keep going in this circle where players want to earn more VC, but they need to make VC in order to get there. And so to improve their player, they need to earn VC. To earn VC, they need to play games. To play games, they need to buy more VC. And it keeps going in this circle until they get a whole bunch of players who are 99 overall. And I think the other thing that frustrates me, and this is no disrespect to him as a YouTube creator, but Chris Move, you see, some of his videos were sponsored by 2K, and whether he purchased VC or not, I don't know, or whether it was given to him by the company themselves. You go to his video and he logs on, NBA 2K Prelude, pretty cool. And I absolutely enjoy him as a commentator, as a content creator. But you see he goes to improve his player and all this VC and just goes and fills up every single bar. And I think it took him to a roughly 86 overall. And that was without the requisite attribute caps being unlocked. And so straight off the bat, because he did have, I think it was like $250,000 VC, because of that, he's already made himself better. And so it ends up coming down to this pay to play, but more of a pay to win. It's definitely a mouthful. A pay to win model. And it's definitely not sustainable. It's not so much me being sympathetic for 2K, but you are going to lose people who are like, well, I can only afford, the base game. I don't want to put in, even if they can't afford it, I don't want to pay more than I really should have to for me to enjoy a game. And I think recently, listening to a podcast, they were saying that, just because you purchased a game, you shouldn't feel obliged to enjoy it. You don't owe it your time. If you're not enjoying it, then you really don't have to kind of grind through it. And that's what it came back to for me for NBA 2K. I was playing my career mode, and definitely enjoying the story and playing. And, it was a lot better in the sense that at the beginning of the game, being in China, you could actually, and no disrespect to the players in China, but they're obviously not up to the NBA level. So at the beginning of the game, you could actually make a basket, you could actually hit a free throw, you could actually be a somewhat competent basketball player. Whereas in the previous 2K games, you had to essentially start off the bench and you miss layups and you take little pot shots at the ring and they'd roll right out and you'd be like, what the hell? But it's about finding that balance between encouraging players to stick with the game, but then also having that goal, the light at the end of the tunnel of accruing more VC in order to improve the player. But going back to the game modes, my GM, looking at that very basic story, because it's still, there's no voice acting, which for me in 2018 for a multi-million dollar company, I don't know if they're in the billions yet, but for a company like 2K to not have voice acting in the My GM mode, yet have such an elaborate story in the My Career mode. Obviously, more people will be playing My Career than My GM, and so naturally they're going to put more money towards that. But surely, you can hire some voice actors to do these lines, because it just takes away from the credibility of the game itself. Sitting there reading text, it feels like Pokemon Pearl and all the Pokemon Fire Red and all these games from the Nintendo DS. So it was a little bit disappointing with the My GM mode, because you wanted it to be a little bit better. I definitely enjoyed it. It's essentially fantasy basketball. And at that point, you can trade whatever players you want, go into the Rockets and, trade away Carmelo, do what you want with Chris Paul, or go to Golden State and try to build another dynasty, re-sign Boogie Cousins and so on and so forth. And obviously, it's a very enjoyable mode that's gotten a lot deeper over the years, which I will say is one area where they have improved, t-shirt sales, jersey sales, ticket prices, all these other things to account for outside of just the realm of basketball. Adding the story part to it was a little bit questionable because it feels half-baked, which, my motto in life, you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all, or, like, if you go into this game which sells millions of copies and normally is, probably not in October because you've got Red Dead Redemption and all these other huge games coming out, but generally NBA 2K games do very, very well on the market. I mean, the NBA is a huge money-making machine as it is, and the 2K franchise has obviously captured that, what makes basketball so special and turned it into such a, world-renowned product. And so the other thing is, you've also got NBA My Team, which, was personally one of my favorite modes in the previous NBA 2K games because it was fantasy basketball taken to the next level where, in the My GM mode, you kind of had to, request trades, do this, negotiate with other teams, whereas in My Team, which is very similar to FIFA Ultimate Team for those who do play FIFA, which I will get to a little bit later on, you could essentially build whatever team you wanted by doing, these various challenges, domination mode, playing other people online. My biggest problem, and this is less of a shot at 2K, more of a shot at Australian internet standards, but the internet was so slow that it would just lag constantly throughout every game. So I didn't end up playing online, but 2K, to their credit, has slowly built up the offline presence mode where you got 3-on-3, you've got the domination mode still, which is still very prevalent, and all these other modes in order for players to actually do well. But at the end of the day, you're still coming back to this VC and My Team points structure, which is eventually, people are going to get sick of building up these points to try and earn these players. And when it comes back to VC in the end, it's once again another mode where you can't escape, the virtual currency. Like, yeah, it always comes back to that, which I'm sure is 2K's business plan to have, VC is going to be the crux of everything we do. But at the same time, if you're going to be, disenfranchising people from, various modes, because for me, having all this time, I don't really want to grind through so many hours building up a team, when I do have other things to do in my life, when I do have work, when I do have other video games, like Red Dead Redemption is going to take up a huge amount of time, and, all these other games that are there, to be played. And even for those people who don't have other games to play, when you do have all this time to just invest in NBA 2K, sure, you want to get your money's worth out of it, but at the same time, it does become a very, very much a grind. Basketball, you're going to do so many times, you go over and over, until it becomes like, okay, well, obviously I'm just playing this game to accrue points so I can get better players. And the one thing that definitely did frustrate me was that 2K's answer to actually improve the game and, diversify it was to include like 50 billion different color cards, your amethyst, diamond, pink, pink gold, pink diamond, all these cards of the one player. And, that was like, oh my God, I got Steph Curry. What the hell? He's 82 overall. And so you've got a Steph Curry and this was from last year's game. I think it was 86 actually. And so you've got Steph Curry who's 86 and it's like, hold on, he's 90 in the normal game though. And it's like, oh wait, his other card is 90, his amethyst card is 92. On top of this, he had a, player of the moment or moments card that was 96, a throwback card that was 82. And I can imagine the collectors out there definitely enjoy this sort of thing, having all these different Steph Curry cards. But at the same time, like, if I've got Steph Curry, then I've got Steph Curry. And I think this was 2K's take on trying to do like the informed kind of cards from the FIFA Ultimate Team. And I just personally wasn't interested in it. Yeah, I enjoyed having the legends there, having Shaq, having Kobe, 2002, 2003 Kobe, all these players from a bygone era, which definitely make things a lot more interesting because you can mix, 2012 LeBron James with, 2016 Kyrie Irving and all these other things. But when you've got like 6 different versions of the one player for people to collect, it's just another level of collectibles for people who, if they're into that sort of thing, then fine. But eventually 2K is going to get to the point where people are going to be like, just give me Steph Curry so I can play basketball. Like, I think 2K's got the basketball side of it done really, really well. The presentation, the commentary, the gameplay experience, like it's all fantastic. But the game side of it, the mechanics and UI and everything like that, they've just fallen short over the last few years. But they've gotten away with it because 2K has kind of entered the NBA pop culture. You've got, players posting on Twitter, posting on Facebook, Instagram, and across social media, you know, oh 2K, oh, you know, playing my boy, blah blah blah, and they're at a space where they're almost, you know, almost untouchable, to the point where, you know, it's like, well, we can almost put out the same game a year after year, which I feel like they've almost done with a reskin and whatnot. You know, they can put out the same game year after year, but it's at such a high echelon that no one's really going to question it. And unfortunately, it will catch up to 2K. I mean, that's just how the business is going to work. I can't envisage them, you know, remaining at the top for so long, especially with a company like EA chasing their tails as far as they are behind 2K in terms of graphics and just general gameplay experience. You know, EA is a big company. There is a lot of money at EA. And if they decide, you know, one day to kind of flip the switch and say, you know what, let's give NBA Live a proper, you know, more money, proper development, you know, get some time in the sun to actually, you know, become a proper basketball game. If they invest their money into that sort of thing and actually decide to make it a proper basketball game, then they could give 2K a run for their money. And, you know, this year was probably the first year that I somewhat considered getting NBA Live, but that was really only after the fact that I was like, okay, well, 2K is really not doing anything for me. And so I was just honestly looking for an alternative. And if that's me, and I feel like I'm probably ahead of the curve at this point, if that's me looking at NBA Live as an alternative, as bad as it is now, imagine in 2 or 3 years' time when other people are like, oh, well, I mean, you know, I'm paying $60 in America, $60 in Australia, you know, upwards of $80. You know, I'm paying this money for a base of the game. I'm then paying an additional $20 to $50, potentially more, potentially less, but give or take. I'm then paying more money, so taking it to about $100 Australian or, you know, $80 US. You know, at some point, people are going to be like, I just want a good basketball experience that has a good balance between actually playing basketball and the game mechanics. And so if NBA Live can really capture that dynamic and actually do really well in that space, then, you know, they could very well steal a lot of people from the NBA 2K, you know, fandom. You know, I'm, you know, not actively looking to switch to EA because FIFA, you know, scratches that itch for me right now. But in terms of basketball, you know, right now I don't have a game. I traded it in. You know, I got my money back essentially for it straight away, which was disappointing. You know, I want to support a developer like 2K, a publisher like 2K, you know, to do these sort of things, to keep putting out good games. But if I don't believe that the game is up to the standard where it should be, then, you know, I can't support that sort of thing. So the comparison that I would like to make to it, and obviously EA has had a lot longer run and more experience with this sort of thing, is the FIFA Ultimate Team mode, which in FIFA is what's the most played mode in FIFA, if I'm not mistaken. But they've done really well over the past few years to get it to a point where there are a number of different modes within it itself that allows you to earn, you know, earn coins. But there is also the FIFA points alternative, which isn't exactly shoved in your face constantly as well, which is like VC. But in FIFA, you've got the journey, you've got my career, you've got, manager mode, my player mode, all these other options where you can go and just enjoy football or soccer. You can just go out and actually enjoy the game itself. So it's you can go in and just play and, you know, have your mates over, survival mode, kickoff mode, all these other things, especially in FIFA 19, which I feel like is probably the best one in quite some time. There's all these other modes there, which you can go out and say, I'm just going to sit down and play soccer today and just play football and just put my feet up and relax. If I want to play as Ibrahimovic, playing with LA Galaxy, sure. If I want to play as Aubameyang, playing as Arsenal, sure, or whatever. Which you do get that in NBA 2K in the Play Now mode, but outside of that, it's like, well, I have to worry about VC. You know, I can't do this because I need VC. I can't do that because I need VC. And so FIFA has created all, you know, squad builder challenges, you know, division rivals now, all these modes, you know, daily, you know, the daily rewards, and, you know, all that sort of thing, which are very simple tasks that get you to continue playing the game without feeling like it's infringing on you and forcing you to actually, you know, it's like, oh, hold on, you got to go out of your way to go do this. Whereas, you know, it's sort of things like, oh, well, this is an objective. It's going to help you get better at the game, like applying a consumable, which takes, what, like 20 seconds max? You know, you're doing this sort of thing, which is like, you were going to do that anyway. Let's reward you for it, give you that sense of progression, while also giving you coins. You know, you build your team up and you go from there. And the thing I'm really enjoying, you know, the squad battles and whatnot, you can very quickly, you know, build up, you know, your coins. If you want to purchase FIFA points, you can. It's not shoved in your face. It is obviously easier if you have a whole bunch of FIFA points because you can just buy packs like that. There is a theory out there that if you purchase packs with FIFA points, that you've got a higher chance at actually packing a good player. Whether there's any truth to that, I don't know. You have to ask EA about it, but you do get, a slight feeling that, there may be some truth to it because EA is rewarding you for purchasing it, and in doing so, it encourages you to purchase more. Again, whether there's any truth to that, just a theory, I don't know. But there's always the light at the end of the tunnel, to use the same analogy as 2K, is a lot closer than it is in NBA. Like, it's right in front of your face. It's like, oh, if I play 2 more games, I can level up and get, another 3,000 coins, which if you add that on top of earning about 500 coins per game, you can buy another pack, or you can buy players on the marketplace, for a lot cheaper. Given obviously your Neymars and Messis are going to cost millions of coins, excuse me. The accessibility of it is a lot easier and a lot easier to grasp, as opposed to 2K, where there's like a million different versions of the one player, and it's like, okay, if I just want Fernandinho, if I just want Kevin De Bruyne, I'm not saying this because I'm a Man City fan, I'm just saying this because I picked up a Fernandinho myself just last night. If I want to play as them, I can just go get it. And there's an inform card, and there's a UEFA Champions League card, which was introduced this year, and I think the next one is the ones to watch. And that's it as far as I know. There's a few man of the match moments and whatnot, player of the tournament for the World Cup and the Euros and the African Cup of Nations as well, and La Copa America as well. But these are tournaments that come around once a year, or so. So this year, you won't have to worry about certain cards coming through because, we had the World Cup last year. But Ultimate Team obviously does a lot more right than it does wrong. It does get, somewhat mundane, just like in 2K, where you gotta play games over and over again to grind, get those coins, open packs, hope you get someone good, go on the transfer market, list them, buy another player, and it's that dance that you have to constantly do in order to succeed in the game mode. But I feel like they offer so much variety in order for you to earn those coins, whereas the variety that 2K offers is there's a number of, you have to earn your coins, and then there's a number of avenues for you to put those coins into. The VC you can earn and then goes out into so many different portals that you have to kind of decide, it's like, well, do I want to play my team and invest in that? Do I want to my career and invest in that? And even my GM, to an extent, does also include, some aspect of VC. Whereas FIFA, and I'm by no means, EA as a company, has had, trouble in its past with, Ultimate Team being too reliant on FIFA points. But there's so many different avenues for you to earn FIFA coins to then go out and spend, and they reward you constantly. If you log into the Ultimate Team app every day, or, even just for a daily login, not even every day, silver pack, something small, just to keep you going, keep you right, keep the cherry right in front of you, which I feel like 2K is definitely missing. It's like, oh, well, we'll give you this baseline starter pack, and we'll give you a lone player. I think I got Damian Lillard as my lone player. Started off with him, like, oh, great. Everyone else is like a bronze 67 overall. Maybe someone will hit a 3-pointer if I'm lucky. But the entry point into my team and my career is just so long and drawn out that it's tiring. And it's like, I would rather just go and play football or go and play another game which I can, thoroughly enjoy without having to sit back and, listen to a podcast while I'm playing it. Like, if I'm on this piece of media, I should be fully invested in it. I don't feel like I should have to listen to a podcast or distract myself when I'm investing my time and, naturally my money into something like that. So we'll end things there. I think that's enough of a rant on NBA 2K. Let me know your thoughts. I think I'm not being overly critical of it. If I am, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. You can hit me up on Twitter at @Seb_Quinn. And hopefully I'll be able to do more of these vlogs. Let me know what you guys think, what I should do next. And I'll see you all soon.